Hey, welcome back to Spiritual Modalities for a Spiritual Life. Jeannie Lynch coming to you from my YouTube channel. So excited to continue this workshop. As you know, we've been looking at so many different modalities all around the world that truly can help us be a better version of ourselves. And this one today is the oldest one to date and on record. It truly is the study of Ayurveda. So what is that? Ayur meaning life, Veda meaning knowledge. So it's the connection, and you're going to hear a lot about this in today's interview, the mind, body, spirit connection. Understanding that everything is energy, so everything we're ingesting and we're putting out affects us. So the beautiful practice of Ayurveda is truly about the delicate balance, right? It's finding that observation and then putting it into our beautiful practice. So today, you've probably heard things like oil pulling, dry brushing, oil massage. That dates back to Ayurveda. And hopefully we're going to be learning a lot more, like the 8 branches, the 3 doshas, and the 5 elements. Doesn't that all sound enticing? It's truly here to help you understand more of what's out there, what can we be using and inputting into our beautiful lives so that we can be connected to consciousness. That's what this system is all about. It's becoming aware. Are you ready? I'm going to introduce you to Jessica next, and then we'll be on for this interview. So excited to share this work. Stay watching. Hey, thanks for staying clicked in to our beautiful workshop series. I'm going to tell you a little backdrop to this beautiful woman. She comes to us from inside our group. Janelle referred Jessica Bloomfield to us, and she truly is a light. You'll know why I say that after you meet her. When we were discussing offline, I was telling her how excited I was, and she was kind of saying to me, hey, Jean, this system is so complex, almost like our Buddhist teachings, right? There is so much to it that we're going to give you a taste today of it. So as always, you can dive deeper. And I just love that. And I also like the fact that this truly is about preservation of our health, and then tactics, techniques, methods. What happens when we do get sick? What can we do? Is there an energetic reason to it? I love that work, right? So Jessica will be taking us through just some of this today. It's so complex, you couldn't possibly get it in a 30-minute interview, but I do want to give you a taste and a touch of this modality. So excited to share. So with that being said, let me pull up a beautiful slide of our friend. I'm going to read this now, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about her and her intention for working with us today. Jessica has always been interested in a spiritual life, so she started her Ayurvedic studies back in 2017, and she's currently attending the Shakti School. In the future, as she's working on all these beautiful practices, she intends to open up for anyone who's interested in understanding their unique body through consciousness, awareness, self-care, lifestyle practices, and how to heal through a balanced way of living. So excited to share this beautiful light with you. That interview is coming up next. Hey Jessica, thank you so much. I know you've traveled across country to be on interview today, so I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate your energy, and I'm really excited, enthused actually, to bring Ayurveda to our class. And as you know, and I know you know this because you were kind of calming me down, there's so much system. And I just know today all we're really going to do is open the door a little bit just to get an inside peek at this system, this ancient system, and we've invoked you to be that spokesperson. So Jessica Bloomfield, thank you so much for taking time out of your day today.
Thank you so much, Jeannie, for asking me to be on your show. This is a huge compliment, and I'm really grateful to have this opportunity. So with Ayurveda, really the seed was planted for me back in Maui, Hawaii, when I lived there, and I couldn't even pronounce the word. And I find that as I go through this journey, I find that I hear a lot of the same story through a lot of the sisters that I've met, where Ayurveda is like, what is this? And slowly over time, it's just kind of come back to me. And I kept hearing Ayurveda and the doshas, and along that journey, I was kind of tapping into different nutrition and diets and lifestyles, and really could never quite find my niche, if that makes sense. For me was at Kripalu. The teacher I had was the dean of Ayurveda. And the way she described it, and just even her essence and her being, was just like, oh my gosh, I need to know more about this.
I love that. Give our class what she gave you. What is the gift? How did she present it to you? And how did that open the door? What is it?
So to be completely honest with you, it was her whole demeanor and how she looked. And I know that sounds really surfacey, but to me and everyone that I talked to at the yoga teacher training, which had about, I want to say, over 50 people, when we would talk about her and her essence and just her energy, it was so grounded, and her skin and her essence was so alive. And we were like, she's got to be in her 20s with the way she looks. And oh no, she was in her 40s. And that was the thing that was beautiful to me, is you can age gracefully with Ayurveda. You don't need to have Botox. You don't need to have all of these things to manipulate you as a human being, because through aging gracefully with Ayurveda practices, diet and lifestyle, and your daily routine, you can actually have that happen naturally. Like in nature, how a baby tree grows or a sunflower grows and becomes this beautiful thing, and then even as it passes on and it seeds and it goes to the next stage of its life, it's absolutely beautiful without having to change it or touch it or do something to it, if that makes sense. And I was like, and I believe that. I believe in the true cycles of life. I've never dyed my hair before, and I get so many compliments on it. And it's just the realization that you don't have to change yourself, because you're already beautiful the way you are. And when you add in these routines, it enhances your life. It really truly does. And that's different for everyone. So what works for me, and that's the number one beauty about Ayurveda, is what works for me will not work for you, and what works for you will not work for me, nor the other person. And that's what makes us all unique individuals.
That's so rich. And I think about women too, who, not to stereotype us, but we do seem to have a lot of self-esteem issues. So
absolutely.
I like the fact that you're saying, it really looks at your health individually and lets you love self to the best capacity. So have you always been a healthy person of mind? So I know Ayurveda is the study of mind, body, and soul, and the connection. And I heard something today as I was getting ready for this interview with you, that it just totally, like the light bulb went off, and I'm going to share it with you because I know it's your passion. They said it's the oldest system in place, but it lines up so beautifully with the newest science out there, which is quantum physics. And I thought, isn't it fascinating that it's a 5,000 old, the ancient system of Ayurveda, and here we are today talking about quantum physics. They're together. And I just love that. So let's get into some of the aspects of Ayurveda, the opening up the door, the doshas, what can you kind of give us as the grounding or the basic principles to that?
So without getting super into detail in the short amount of time that we have, I'm going to try and really tee it into just what will get things turning for anyone that's wanting to just go, ooh, what is this about? So it starts off with the elements. So you have you have ether, air, fire, water, and earth. Okay, so the 5 elements, and we're all made up of that. And within those elements, they tee off into categories. So vata is made up of air and ether, but it still has all the other elements in it. It's not just simply air and ether, because if you were just air and ether, you wouldn't be here. Okay. So the next one is pitta, which is fire and a little bit of water. Okay. And that's the main element of pitta is going to be fire. And then you have kapha, which is water and earth, which is very grounding. So when you look at these categories, a vata person, usually that will express in very creative, very artistic, very outgoing, very bubbly. Okay, that's a balanced vata person. And then the opposite of that would be for imbalances, would be someone who is very bloated or gassy. So they tend, so think about air, ether, they tend to hold in the air. And they tend to be very tall and have lengthy features and are very flamboyant and moving and flowy and dancing and all of that. And for a pitta person, the balanced version of a pitta person would be someone who is a leader, who's very focused, very driven, very, very goal oriented. And for out of balance, a pitta person would be very strong, very intense, maybe a little bit aggressive with their words or with their lifestyle, very known as type A. Yeah. Got to get things done, headhunter. Yeah. And for a kapha person, the balanced version of a kapha person would be someone who, I love to think of this because it's exactly what I need in my life, somebody who's very grounding, who's a meditator, who massages, who's there with the omnipresence of everything's okay, everything's going to be great and fine. And then the out of balance kapha would look like very tired, very lethargic, very slow moving. Yeah, so that's just some ideas without getting super into detail to kind of just tap into it. And we all have all of that. Yeah. And that's the beautiful part is there's no, oh, you're this person and so that's the way you're always going to be, because it's always changing depending on where you live, what season it is, what time of day it is, and even through the month being a woman with your hormones.
Got it. So here's a question. There's thousands of tests online that you can take in books and the rest of it. I'm assuming that we have more than one dosha or that we vacillate, right? So, but there's one that kind of comes in that we mostly are. Are the tests accurate that you've seen? Can my group or in this video, can I put a link to a test that can kind of assess just so someone can start to go, oh, well, what are you? Let me ask you that.
Totally, absolutely. So two-part question. Okay. You can look this up on Banyan Botanicals. That personally is my favorite. So to answer your questions in two parts, Banyan Botanicals is the best website, in my personal opinion, to use. And they also sell great products to enhance your dosha or just your lifestyle in general with spices and herbal creations that can make up for certain things that you're wanting to focus on. Okay. And for me, I'm a makeup of Pitta Vata mainly, and then a little bit of Kapha. And that also is changing throughout the lifestyle. So that being said, that is mainly my Prakruti, which is what you're born into this world with, and a state of balance. And currently you have a Vikruti throughout your life. So you have your Prakruti, which is your state of balance when you were born into this world, in perfect balance and harmony. And then everything past that throughout your life is Vikruti, which is constantly always changing.
Okay. I just love this. I got to tell you too, you have no idea, because I don't even think my group does. I just finished doing a whole interview on feng shui. And guess what? They talked about the 5 elements and in your space and how it affects you. And then this word that keeps showing up in every modality, because we're talking it's a healing modality, right? Balance. That you can, and chakra systems, right? You can have your heart totally blocked. But everything in life needs to be balanced. And I love that this system really goes into that and looks at that, right?
Absolutely. It's all about balance. And when you look out in nature, if you just stop to observe, you'll see that everything's in perfect balance and harmony and flow and a state of just being. And it's so effortless. And that's why I personally love being outside. And when I share all the dicharnia, all the daily routines, a lot of that for me, I try to go and do outside or be mindful of going outside to do it, because when you're grounding yourself, there's just this extra essence of this is where I'm at. This is where I need to be.
Love that. So when we look at each one of the doshas, you said, say them again, kapha, pitta, vata.
Vata, Pitta, Kapha.
Okay.
Or they're also, depending on where you are in the world, they could be pronounced differently, Vata, Pitta, Kapha.
Okay.
But the way I was taught in my schooling is Vata, Pitta, Kapha.
Okay. So can you give us, if I could put up a slide about each one of them, can you go into a little more specifics? I know you did about the balanced and unbalanced.
Totally.
I love that.
Absolutely.
But I'd love to just focus on the 3 doshas as, that
Totally.
door opener. Could you do that? So let's put up the first one. What would you say is what's the first one?
So we'll start with Vata,
Okay.
the air and ether elements.
Okay.
And so I'll go into the appetite, digestion, and elimination, just so people can kind of get an idea of what that would look like.
I would love
So
that.
when you're, so this is generally speaking for Vata type, tall body, lengthy features, very artistic, and their appetite usually tends to be variable, with often skipping meals because they're so in their creative flow that they just don't have time to eat right now.
Too funny. I love that.
And when they don't eat, though, they get anxious or irritable.
Okay.
Their digestion tends towards, and what's great about this is for me during Ayurveda, I had a lot of aha moments of like, oh, that makes sense.
I call it hangry.
Yes, exactly.
My joke to Michael is,
Yep.
don't stand between me and my food. When it's time to eat, man, I am like full on. So thank you for
Absolutely.
saying that. Okay.
So the digestion would be tending towards gas or constipation. So with the variable appetite, with that you can kind of see, I can see how one would maybe go towards being bloated or be very constipated. Because if you're not in a routine that's right for your body makeup, then that tends to make a roller coaster go up and down and ebb and flow.
Makes sense. Yep.
And with that being said, the elimination could be, and this is my favorite part. I love talking about taboo things. So speaking of the bowel movements, for me, just comes naturally. I don't mean to make anyone go, oh, ew, that's, So the elimination for Vata would be potentially hard or very loose, not loose, will skip. So they'll either be very hard, and they in school they taught us that when someone would come in, a patient, and they share with you that they have hard stools, it would be called Vata balls.
Got it.
Like bunny.
Got it.
And they barely sweat. So because of air and ether, they tend to be very dry, which would mean constipation and minimal sweat.
Okay, fascinating.
And they always are cold, usually always cold, which is definitely me. And
I love this.
So, well, it's so fun, isn't it? And actually, you know what? I'd like to go into menses as well, because I am working on gearing towards working with women. So I would like to talk about menses as well, because I think that's also very important.
Well, I'm all women, so go for it. This is perfect.
So menses for a Vata would look irregular, and it would also be light and maybe 2 to 4 days. And that's just because of the makeup, light, air, ether. You can kind of really, when I go through these, you can tie it all back to the elements and see how it would totally make sense. And their sleep is usually light and restless because of their creative mind, because they have so much energy and they're constantly in creative field. And it's so beautiful because now when I see my friends, I see the elements they have, and they just naturally show. And it's so beautiful. I love that you can tie that in and be like, oh, and it helps you understand a person on another level, which I think is so important for all of us in connection and understanding each other and our essences and who we truly are and what makes us so unique and different. So I'll go into Pitta next. Pitta being mainly fire and a little bit of water. So fire, think fire burns, it's strong, it's bright, it's light, leadership role, goal-oriented. So the appetite of a Pitta person is strong, very strong. They're always hungry. They have to eat. If they don't eat, they're hangry, which is me. They're constantly eating. They don't skip meals. They rarely skip meals. If they do skip meals, you'll know about it. Venation stools are soft, and they can go to the bathroom and take bowel movements 1 to 3 times a day, which to a Vata person is like, what? And they sweat with a strong odor. They profusely can sweat with a strong odor because they have so much fire in them that it's constantly burning, and they're always warm. People that are pitta tend to go really warm easily, or always hot. And their skin is usually oily and rashy and red. And their menses tend to be heavy, regular, in about 3 to 5 days. And the reason why I like to share these is so that way anyone that's listening to this can kind of go, oh, that sounds like me, or oh, both of those sound like me. And it just brings a better awareness to yourself and your body, because really that's what Ayurveda is all about. It's about learning to love yourself on a deeper level and understand yourself without manipulating anything.
Yes.
And the sleep for a pitta person is usually light. They can wake up easily, but they fall asleep no problem throughout the night. And for kapha, we'll go into kapha now. That's going to be mainly earth, or water and earth. So very grounding, very heavy. If you've ever gone and stuck your hands in the soil or stood on a hot rock or sat on one, for me personally, because I'm vata pitta makeup, that feels so good and so grounding, especially after traveling, which is a good tip to have.
Yeah, good point.
So for the appetite of a kapha, it's consistently lower, meaning that they'll usually only need to eat once a day or maybe twice a day at the most, because they have a slower digestion. And they aren't bothered if they miss a meal or two. Their digestion tends to feel heavy after eating, which means that their eating would be different from a vata or pitta person in terms of what they are consuming. Elimination, their stools tend to be soft and regular, and they might have a lot of mucus too. So their sweat would be profuse with a very sweet smell, and their temperature, they're not affected by it too much. So kapha people in general tend to have a little more extra on their body, not in a bad way, just in a more earthy way. And I don't know about you, Jeannie, but if you've ever hugged somebody who is a massager, who's a little bit more bigger built, it feels like you're hugging Buddha. It feels so good for me personally and so grounding, and I just want to be around them all the time because they bring me back down to earth. And their their skin is usually clammy, moist, and thick. Think about it. People that massage are really strong. And their menses tend to be moderate to regular and usually go for 5 to 7 days.
Got it.
And their sleep is very heavy, and they usually find it difficult to awake in the morning and start their day.
That was kind of where I was going with my next question. Now that you've laid up the doshas and told us more about them, so give an example of yourself. Do you have to, because of who you are and your doshas, do you now have to look at the food associated with each of those and just try to balance that and find out what you're lacking and what you need? And so
absolutely,
that opens up the whole door to all the food aspect of this, right?
Yep, totally. So right now, just to give you an example, for me, it's summertime, so it's pitta season. Vata is fall and winter season. Kapha is late winter, early spring season, and pitta is summer season. So right now, it does. All that changes. And the reason why it changes is because everyone should change their eating seasonally to eat with the seasons.
Okay, stop right there. So that is so huge, right? Because I think we get into our diet or our routine and our focus, and we think we get into one set and we don't realize that we should be shifting this to kind of change with the seasons. That's a huge awareness to people. Thank you.
Absolutely.
So that's a good segue to kind of move into the aspect of, success stories, and then, what is Ayurveda today? And it is, I say coming back, it's never gone away, right? But people's attraction to it is certainly, it's becoming more mainstream, I guess we could say. We did talk offline too about brushing and oil pulling and all these mainstream things. Take us to Ayurveda today so we can kind of move into that aspect of
absolutely. So Dicharnya, daily routines, Ayurveda today is really what works for you. It's there's the ideal and then there's the realistic. The ideal is, of course, everyone would wake up and have this perfect routine, but that's not realistic. That's the fantasy. So, I mean, even me, Jeannie, I'm human. I don't do all these practices every day because that's just life. I would love to do all this every day and push everything to the wayside, but that wouldn't be reality. So for me, Ayurveda today and how I would like to just share it through my eyes is doing what feels right for you when it's right. So with daily oil massage, I love doing that. And I notice when I skip days.
Yeah. What is it?
Daily oil massage is called Abhyanga, and this is a fairly worldly word in terms of a lot of people know this. It is, Ayurveda is getting very out there today, and I think the reason behind that is because when I find that, and I just see this through myself and through my beloved friends that I dearly care about, they found that when they try to do keto or paleo or any of these diets, they only work for a short amount of time. And then a lot of the reason why for women is because of our hormones. So with Ayurveda, you find what works for you and you do it. And then when it shifts, you shift.
Okay.
And then when it shifts, you shift. And you are constantly, it's like a dance. You find what works for you. And then if it doesn't work for you, then you change it. And then it works for you. And it's like, it's this ever evolving shift. And that's what I love about it. And what's beautiful is you can add any essential oils you want. And again, there are even essential oils that are best for each dosha. Okay. Ones that are more awakening, ones that are more grounding, ones that are more calming. It's beautiful. See how it all intertwines and works out together. So typically I'll take coconut oil and I'll go outside right now in the summertime. Of course, I won't do this in the winter, but right now in the summertime, I go out by the lake and I will oil myself. And you can dry brush before this. Typically dry brushing, I'm kind of intertwining all these together, by the way, just to show how it can flow together. You can dry brush before you oil massage to exfoliate.
Got it.
And not only to just exfoliate, but the main reason behind dry brushing for Ayurveda is to get the lymph moving. So the whole point of Abhyanga and dry brushing is to get your lymph moving. And
so is there a certain brush you use for dry brushing, or is it, I know you gave me some great pictures, so thank you, I have them.
You can pick up a dry brush at any health food store. I personally like the one that I believe is Eco Prime. I think that's the name of it. It's an all-natural dry brush, and it will last me my whole life. Okay. So I start from my feet, and I work my way to the heart, and I brush up like this. And especially underneath the armpit, because that's where all the lymph is moving, and into the breast being a woman. I oil massage, and right now during the summertime, I use a product from Banyan Botanicals called Brahmi coconut oil. Okay. Brahmi calms the nervous system down and has a lovely scent. I love it so much I could eat it. Okay. I don't, but I love it that much. So the whole idea around Abhyanga is self-love, self-nurturing, and to calm yourself and protect yourself. It's a subtle form of protection. You're protecting yourself before you go out into the world and start your day.
Can you do this too much? Doesn't sound like you can.
No. And for me, no. If you're kapha and you're very oily and mucousy, then you might not want to do this all the time. And you would use an oil like mustard that's more drying.
I think that's a lot of information to kind of open up the door. Do you agree?
Absolutely,
so
yes.
Wrapping things up, do you have anything, like if you think, oh, I hung up and I wish she didn't even talk about, am I missing anything that you want to make sure gets on this interview?
Yeah, I do want to just share a personal thing for all women and men too, men and women. And that's just, I want to, sharing Ayurveda through my words and my perspective, I want to come at it with the message of Ayurveda is standing in your power, regaining your confidence, regaining your self-love, and loving yourself to the deep core, knowing yourself, understanding yourself, seeing yourself for who you truly are, and knowing that you have a purpose in this world. And it doesn't matter what it is. It absolutely doesn't matter. You belong in this world to make a change, and the change starts with you. And by slowly inviting practices into your life that enhance you, people see that. I have people that give me compliments all the time, and the one thing I tell them, and it's just to share, is it's all about self-care. Self-care is the best care. When you can take care of yourself, you can then go out into the world and live your purpose with confidence, with grounding, with stability. It's all about taking care of yourself when everything else falls to the wayside. And what's beautiful about this is, if you end up not having a relationship that lasts or a job, you have Ayurveda. So you know how to take care of yourself. You won't be lost. You won't go, oh no, what do I do now? I don't have this, I don't have that. You have yourself. You have Ayurveda. You have all of these tools in your toolbox to go, okay, no problem. I've got this. On to the next one.
Oh my God. If I could just, I think I might, that is the most amazing, beautiful point. And it totally lines up with this entire class, this series. This is what we're teaching: connection to self, self-love, and back out into the world to be the best expression of yourself. I just love it. You can't end that any better. So let's end there, and let's get right into our rapid fire.
Okay.
Just so people get to know you.
Yeah.
So Jessica, what is your favorite all-time movie?
Oh, Jeannie, that one's really hard for me to answer, but I'll say comedies, and then I'll just say anything with Jim Carrey.
Oh, I love you too. I love him. Thank you. If you were going to change the world today, the world needs what in order to be changed?
Love and acceptance. Self-acceptance.
Yeah, the definition of Ayurveda from what you've said. We all have pet peeves. Do you have one? Can you share?
Yes. Anyone who doesn't compost is so fun and easy, and you can teach kids how to touch the earth and worms and watch it all break down in front of you.
Love that. And then personal quality about yourself that you absolutely love. That you compost.
Yeah, that I compost. I like traveling. Can that be one?
Absolutely. And then the last question as we wrap up today: what are you doing, Jess, when you're totally experiencing joy?
Anything outside. Farming, gardening, biking, swimming, playing with dogs. Yep.
I just have to say, and when I got on in the beginning, I said, everyone's going to meet your light. And I kind of highlighted your light. And then I'm watching you today on this video. Your energy just exudes passion for this system.
Thank you, Jeannie. And I super appreciate you and this opportunity to be here right now and to share everything that I've learned. Because really that's what I'm just doing, is I'm sharing little tidbits that I've picked up over the years and things that have really set true to my heart.
Love it. So thank you, Jess. So appreciate it. Bye for now.
Bye, Jeannie. Have a good day.
Thank you.
I'm so happy I did this. I was like, okay, I'm ready for this. I'm so ready for this.